Hi, I'm Wes Allen with DM Tales, and today I get to do a review of a book that takes one of my favorite settings ever, the Ninth World of Numenera, and makes it even weirder. This is my look at Numenera's Voices of the Datasphere. Let's roll it. Before I begin, I want to thank everyone who has done the whole like, comment, share, and subscribe routine for any of the videos on this channel. It really helps out this channel a lot, and I appreciate it. I also want to shout out my coffee contributors who support the channel out of the kindness of their hearts. If you'd like to contribute to Caffeination, the link is right over there. And if you're looking for some fun hoodies and t-shirts to wear, check out my DM Tales merch shop with designs like this one celebrating your profound ability to roll low. That one's me, by the way. And with all that out of the way, let's get to the review. If you don't know, the Ninth World is a wild setting with a mix of repurposed technology from previous civilizations living alongside the medieval level technology that most folks utilize. The core Numenera books also reference this thing called the Datasphere, which is where nanos draw the power for their abilities that look almost like magic. Voices of the Datasphere allows a Numenera game to explore this Datasphere realm, and it gets weird. The Datasphere is the Ninth World term for the amalgamation of the globe-spanning computer networks which have outlived the civilizations which spawned them. Now, some parts of the Datasphere feel almost normal to Ninth Worlders, while other parts are the echoes of civilizations so alien they threaten to unravel the very existence of anyone who travels to them. And that's the thing, the Datasphere is indeed a place that characters may visit. Playing in the Datasphere amps up the already present weirdness of the Ninth World, and to grasp just how weird it is, we need to understand some of the lingo. So let's go down the rabbit hole. A vertice is a location where creatures and objects can be transcribed both into and out from the datasphere. Using a vertice to move into the datasphere, that's called datascribing. Using a vertice to move from the datasphere to the real is called real scribing. When a character transcribes into the datasphere, they are entering into a realm where the distinctions between physical and mental attributes do not matter. And to represent this, players add their current pool numbers together into a new pool called their Soulcore. They also add up the maximum values for each of their pools from the real, and that value becomes their Soulcore's maximum value. This new pool is used to take all damage, and it's the pool from which they draw the strength needed to both activate abilities and apply effort to attempts. The player does still keep track of their edges for each of their pools that exist in the real because the Datasphere is translating their own self-understanding into the environment. So if a character perceives they have an easier time with physical tasks, they will still have an easier time with the perception of those kind of tasks inside the Datasphere. Now, characters manifest in the Datasphere as these things called Ideates, a representation of the character's form in the real, but they're altered in a way which highlights, again, their own self-perception. A character with the focus talks to machine, for example, may appear in the Datasphere with a machine-like appearance. And a character who rides the lightning may be covered with sparking electrical arcs. The thing is what an ideate looks like has zero impact on gameplay. It's all flavor. So players are encouraged to go wild with their descriptions. They could be something as silly as a human with a flaming cabbage head or a giant muscle-bound warrior. If a character happens to be a little bit paranoid in the real, they may even appear in the Datasphere with eyes covering their body, looking all over the place. And when a character transcribes into the Datasphere, they're going to appear in a frame. A frame is something akin to a room and will often be dressed up to look like a physical space, but it is not a physical space. Real-world physics do not apply unless a frame has specific frame qualities imposed which impose those types of things in the area. This means a frame can look like anything. It could be a plain hallway, a comfortable reading room, an Escher painting, or just a blank void filled with plain spheres. And as mentioned, frames can have qualities which can be used to set parameters for that area. Real-world physics may apply for a bit. Characters may not be able to remain underwater without breathing apparatus, or they may have damage inflicted to them as long as they remain in that frame. And what causes the damage? That could be visualized as anything. Each frame has a level, and any character who wants to ignore any imposed qualities may make an intellect defense check each round to do so. This opens up Matrix-like moments in the game where characters are able to ignore the rules of a space and accomplish some amazing feats. It just sounds really cool. Now, if a frame is akin to a room, though one that could appear to be the size of a small city, a node is a number of frames which touch each other. Now, this would be analogous to a house if the house could appear to be as large as the size of a planet. The border between frames, that's called a barrier. These can look like anything, no matter their current status or function. At level 0 barriers, they can just be opened and passed through, and they may look like doors or windows, but a level 6 barrier might appear to be a massive vault door, indicating its strength. And attempting to bypass a barrier's lock or break it open is possible, but it takes time and it can be dangerous. Traveling between nodes, those collections of frames, requires something called a conduit. These pathways also have levels, although what level the conduit has is often determined by the node to which it leads. So if a character is in a level 2 node and discovers a conduit to a locked level 4 node, attempting to use the conduit to travel is going to be a level 4 task. Passing through a conduit can also be dangerous because some parts of the datasphere, they've degraded with age. And you can't look down a conduit prior to transit, so there's no way to determine beforehand if using one will be safe or not, unless you have a map, that is. It's really cool. Voices are the most powerful beings in the datasphere. They were created by previous worlds as control entities and have godlike power over the data spaces they rule. Some voices even have cults which worship them. Each voice has its own personality and its own agenda. Some voices are friendly. Others may demand obedience from those who encroach on their territory. And still more are aloof to the machinations of the datasphere, leaving ordinary issues to their followers. They just step in when they feel like it. And given their age and the hostilities which sometimes erupt between rival voices in the datasphere, more than a few voices are malfunctioning and can be completely irrational. And even more dangerous than those are voices which are so old they dwell in the deep datasphere, where the digital remnants of worlds so far beyond human comprehension still exist. Just seeing them may break a character's mind. In a setting which is already both weird and dangerous, voices dial up the weirdness even higher. As I said, frames can have the appearance of three-dimensional space, but this is just the datasphere projecting something familiar for the characters so they don't lose their minds. In reality, unless the frame has specific qualities imposing limitations, there's no such thing as, distance. If a character wants to travel to an object they perceive as distant, they get there. And the character's ideate doesn't move quickly through the apparent space because there's no space to move through. It just gets there. Likewise, there's no height. If a character sees a door on the ceiling, they may appear in front of it at will in whatever orientation they desire. The appearance of a room, it's just wallpaper, which helps everything feel even more weird. Because there's no actual distance in a data space, combat's also going to feel really weird. Characters will be able to hit any target in the frame with a melee attack, no matter where they perceive them to be. Also, because there's no distance, there's no such thing as either point blank or extreme range for things a character views as a ranged attack. A character may appear to be standing on top of their target and fire a ranged attack or be miles away. There's no penalties to the roll. It only looks like the character is shooting a blaster, firing a bow, or throwing a spear from a distance. Now, the datasphere does attempt to translate area effects like explosions in a way which is linked to how they work in the real. But instead of having spatial ranges, because there's no space, an area effect may target any 4 targets in a frame. It doesn't matter if they're near to each other or not. They just have to be in the same frame. Again, things get weird. I love this setting because players are set free to let their imaginations go on a rampage, knowing it'll have zero mechanical impact on the game. Voices of the Datasphere has a wonderful suite of tools for creating the conduits, frames, and nodes needed to present their own portion of the Datasphere. These tables can be rolled on the fly in response to players' actions, or they can be set up in advance to make some data space playgrounds available to players. It's all good stuff. And in addition to these tools, the book also has a section dedicated to the kinds of Numenera which can be found in the Datasphere. There's some cool ciphers, powerful artifacts, and even robust vehicles, which is a topic I'm not getting into in this review, but it's really cool. And even there are damaging glitches running through the Datasphere, which affect both the environment and the characters themselves. All of these amp up the weirdness of the setting and are terrific GM fodder. Chapters 11 and 12 then are dedicated to presenting creatures which are native to the Datasphere, and also providing some examples of what happens when creatures from the real are datascribed. The examples in the book serve as templates for taking any Ninth World creature, or really any cipher system creature, and injecting them with Datasphere weirdness. The last section of the book contains 2 adventures which serve as introductions for both players and game masters alike. I'm not getting into details with these adventures because I want to run at least one of them very soon. I will tell you, they look fun. There's not much I can say about the physical layout of the book, as it bears Monte Cook Games' typical stellar design. Each part of the book does have its own highlight color, which is used by all the visual elements throughout its run. It uses the same sans serif font for its body text and a cool font for the heading. I will say, though, that there's a cool pattern in the outer edges of the pages which look like stylized circuitry. That's really cool. And as with all MCG books, it is a full-sized 8.5 by 11 inches. And for a book that has as much content as it contains, it's not very long. It's only 160 pages. The book's also notch binding, so it's durable, but the beginning and end chapters are going to be a little bit stiff until the spine is broken in. I've noticed that with a lot of the notch binding books, and it does get better over time. The cover art, that's just beautiful. But the cool thing is it doesn't even attempt to display the full weirdness of the Datasphere, which I think may be deliberate. The art on the cover seems to display a vertice from which a projection is emerging. There's a tension in it that something is happening. The front and the rear end pages, on the other hand, they're just off the charts with weird and beautiful imagery. It's as if the book cover is this invitation to explore, and opening it up is meant to feel like you are yourself being datascribed. It is a really cool effect. And the artwork throughout the book, it's just stunning. Voices of the Datasphere may be my favorite MCG product that I've read up to this point. And I can tell you that it is my favorite Numenera product that I've read up to this point. It adds this entire new realm to explore and amps up the awesome weirdness of the Ninth World to levels that I wouldn't even have dreamed of. If you are running Numenera and you want to try something very different in an already very different setting, this is a book worth checking out. And even if you're not running Numenera, a lot of the content in the book is helpful for someone who may want to run a cyberpunk campaign using any system. It's really good stuff. You can pick up Voices of the Datasphere from Monte Cook Games. The hardback book and the PDF combo is just under $51, while the PDF alone sells for about $18. Go check this one out. Coming up on the channel, I am just about done my read-through of Dreams and Machines. That will be the next review coming up on the channel. Following that will be Ironbound, and then Star Trek Adventures. I'm really looking forward to getting to all of these books. On August 11th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we are running a live stream of Monty Python's co-curricular medieval reenactment program that is run by the game's designer, Brian Saliba. Brian, I always think I get that name right. I hope I am. But I am really looking forward to that. We've been making characters and they are just zonkers. And the best thing is that they will all take themselves extremely seriously. It should be a lot of fun. After that, well, I got all these fine books on the shelf that I need to get to a review, and I think I got some other ones coming in the mail pretty soon because of backer kits that I've backed a long while ago, like Dolmen Wood. So I'm looking forward to bringing all of that to you on this channel, and we'll have some introductory videos in between the reviews, just things that pop up in my head as we go. I'm looking forward to bringing this all to the channel, and I hope that until we see each other again, this will be true for you. Happy playing, everyone.